Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier, breaking the glass ceiling, some local women who are mentoring the next generation of women business leaders. How a new space can make all the difference to today's young workers. And charging you more to park on the street for the hottest events in town. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Peg Rasconi. On the Business Courier front page this week, powerful Cincinnati women. You might be surprised to hear that even in 2014, there are few females in the C-suite. In the centerpiece, saying no to the status quo. Managing editor Lisa Benson profiled 3 women who are coaching a generation of new female leaders to the top, and they want others to do the same. Jill Meyer is the only woman running a top Cincinnati law firm. Julia Poston is one of only 2 women running local accounting firms. And Leanne Liska is the only female CEO among Cincinnati's largest hospitals. In 2010, all CEOs at the former Health Alliance System hospitals were women. So what's changed or not when it comes to women at the top? And what are those who are there doing to groom others to follow in their footsteps? Lisa Benson joins Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio with some insight on what she found. Rob and Lisa.
Thanks, Peg. Lisa Benson, managing editor. I work with her every day. She never, ever comes on the show. Why today?
I don't know, but there might be swarms of locusts, or it might be raining frogs on our drive home today.
Nobody out here really truly knows how big of a deal this is for me because she hates television. I don't know what to tell you. The Business Courier this week did a big section on women in business. You wrote our cover story, a great cover story. You focused on 3 of these, really 3 of the biggest, most successful women in business in Cincinnati. Why did you pick them, and what were some of the things that you learned?
Well, if you look at some of the largest companies and organizations in greater Cincinnati, there really are very few women who have risen to the top executive ranks. So I thought it would be really interesting to talk to some of those women who have made it, and that's Jill Meyer at Frost Brown Todd, Julia Poston at Ernst & Young, and Leanne Liska at UC Medical Center, just to find out what they think about the state of women in business in Cincinnati, and as well introduce us to some of the young professional women that they're coaching and mentoring to be that next generation of women who are coming behind them.
Yeah, the weird thing was that you had mentioned in the story, and that they had mentioned is some of these women, when they got their jobs, there were even more women in their peer group. Now there isn't as many, so I feel like they've even taken this more seriously. What are some of the specific things they want to work on with these mentees, they call them, to help them sort of up the ladder?
What the women have talked about, the women that I talked to for the story talked about, there are a lot of things that you just don't get necessarily in law school or in accounting classes. Some of the softer skills that are really important for women to learn. Knowing how to read a room, or understanding how relationships work, and understanding those personal dynamics that aren't necessarily always natural for women to understand. And so they're serving as models to kind of show these women, I've made it to the top. Here are some of the things that you can work on so that you can be successful too.
It does seem like a huge commitment that these women are making, but on both sides, frankly. Anything surprising when you were interviewing these 6 women?
All of the women across the board said to be a successful woman in business, you need to have a mentor. You need to have mentors. But what surprised me was that they said they don't always have to be just female mentors. It's really important to find male mentors as well, so that you get that diversity of opinion to become sort of a more well-rounded executive and become more successful.
Yeah, it was a really wonderful story, and I hope everybody does check it out in the newest edition of the Courier. And I'm so happy that Lisa came here. This is a really big day for me. Anyway.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. Peg, back to you.
Thanks, Rob and Lisa. I think Lisa needs to come back. Well, Huntington National Bank's local president has quietly lost the interim tag on his title and become the permanent chief. Kevin Jones took over last October as interim local market president. Now he has the role free and clear and is in charge of Huntington's Southern Ohio, Kentucky region. He says the competition is tough in the market, and Huntington focuses on customer service to set it apart.
Fair play banking is what we instituted back in the financial crisis, where we decided to take an approach to be an established trust, to be fair to our clients.
Huntington is the fourth biggest bank in Cincinnati with $2.1 billion in deposits and 40 branches. It's also the biggest small business administration lender in Greater Cincinnati and Ohio. The largest commercial real estate firm in the tri-state is being acquired by a group led by a private equity shop. Cassidy Turley is being acquired by a group led by TPG. It will then be combined with industry peer DTZ. The combined company of Cassidy Turley and DTZ will create a company with revenues of nearly $3 billion and more than 28,000 employees. Locally, Cassidy Turley has 39 local licensed agents. The deal is expected to close by year's end. One of Cincinnati's largest accounting firms has a new home. PricewaterhouseCoopers moved into a new office in PNC Center, signing an 11-year lease in the downtown site. The managing partner says the new office meets the needs of today's employees.
So we will see that both our current employees as well as the folks that we're hiring, mostly right off campus, we think will really enjoy it.
McPartland says the new space is already paying off, with employees already making full use of the collaborative space. The city of Cincinnati is on the verge of signing a contract with Xerox that would allow the city to install high-tech parking meters with analytic capabilities that allow the price of parking to change based on demand. The concept is called dynamic pricing. It would allow the city to charge higher rates in parts of the city where demand is highest, or even adjust it during certain hours. The Cincinnati Reds do this with ticket prices, charging more for a ticket against a division rival such as the St. Louis Cardinals. The meters will accept credit card payments and have pay-by-phone capabilities. Xerox has persistently pursued a parking contract with the city, but was rebuffed by Mayor John Cranley and City Council in February when it made its last publicly known offer. The latest proposal does not contemplate the city selling bonds to finance the technology. Procter & Gamble is one of the world's top employers for new college graduates. The Cincinnati-based consumer products giant came in at number 7 on CNN's Money List for business students. It ranks 12th for engineering students. P&G hires less than 1% of the 500,000 people who apply to work there each year. Procter & Gamble has followed through on its promise to contribute to the breast cancer-related charities. P&G pulled out of the NFL campaign last week amid the NFL's domestic violence controversy. But P&G said it will still make a $100,000 donation to the American Cancer Society. Well, if you have a life-threatening allergy, anything from peanuts to bee stings, this next story may give you some hope. Dr. Fred Finkelman, a professor of medicine and pediatrics at the UC College of Medicine, has lined up $2 million to further study how dangerous allergies might be suppressed with injections of an antibody. The treatment involves getting a shot every 2 to 4 weeks. The project launched 2 years ago with a $150,000 grant from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Finkelman's research has proved so promising that earlier this month, Finkelman was awarded the additional $2 million from the Food Allergy Research and Education Organization and the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. Well, from food allergies to food trucks with new locations. New Orleans To Go and Fireside Pizza are finding permanent brick-and-mortar homes as part of the revitalization of Walnut Hills. New Orleans To Go is known for its po' boy sandwiches, of course, and those will be a staple at the new place, which expects to open this fall. Fireside Pizza, which had a former life as a mobile wood oven, is now open in what was the city's oldest fire station on McMillan Street. This is video from the restaurant construction. The hours there are 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, the top web stories. Placing an online grocery order to Kroger? It could be happening near you. And we'll have some insight on Chinese e-commerce company Alibaba, which went public last week. Some news now that's getting a lot of attention on the Business Courier website and social media sites. Kroger is bringing Cincinnati shoppers the ability to order groceries online and pick them up in the store. The program comes from the click and collect online ordering system that has been a success for North Carolina-based Harris Teeter stores, which Kroger acquired in January. The test program is underway with new employees at the Liberty Township Kroger Marketplace. A small grocery store is reportedly coming to Over the Rhine near Findlay Market. The store will be about 5,000 square feet. It will reportedly complement, not compete, with market vendors. The developer Model Group expects to sign a letter of intent soon with an operator to open the store as part of its redevelopment of a block of historic buildings on Race Street. Cincinnati Center City Development Corporation, or 3CDC, needs more condos and townhomes to meet increasing demand for residential space in Over the Rhine. So far this year, 3CDC has signed or closed on 51 residential units. At this pace, 3CDC leaders say supply will last until spring at the very latest. The Liberty Center development in Butler County is getting 4 big-ticket restaurant tenants. Brio Tuscan Grill, Cheesecake Factory, Kona Grill, and Pies and Pints are the first announced restaurants of dozens planned for the $350 million development. The restaurants should open in about a year. Loveland-based packaging manufacturer Promoc will be acquired by affiliates of New York-based private equity firm AEA Investors. The transaction is expected to be completed by the fourth quarter. Financial details of the transaction were not disclosed, but newswire service Reuters reported that AEA Investors expected to pay $1 billion for Promoc. In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, after one of the most highly anticipated initial public offerings in years, shares of the Chinese internet company Alibaba are now trading on the New York Stock Exchange. So 1 week in, is the debut living up to the hype? And what should we look for moving forward? Well, U.S. Bank Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager Mike Denneman joins Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio. Mike and Jamie.
Thanks, Peg. Thanks for being here again today, Mike.
Good morning.
So I know we talked about Alibaba some months ago, but just as a refresher for us, what exactly do they do?
Sure. So you can kind of think of it as a one-stop shop, if you will, for the Chinese internet consumer. So it is at base an e-commerce website, and to sort of put it in U.S. terms, it's got a lot of the similarities to eBay, a lot of similarities to Amazon, but then also mix in a lot of other things, some PayPal, some Google, some Match.com. So it's very multidimensional and not at all hard to see how it became the most popular website in China.
Quite diversified, huh?
Yeah.
All right, well, I know there was a lot of hype before the IPO. Has it lived up to the hype?
Yeah, in a nutshell, it was huge. The company raised $22 billion, which is now the largest IPO in U.S. history. It beat the previous record of $20 billion by Visa back in 2008. And the hype certainly helped the shares after trading began. They went off at $68 per share and pretty quickly ran up to close to $100 before trending down a little bit and closing in the low 90s. So a very nice first day gain. But as with many ultra-hyped IPOs, the last week or so has been somewhat anticlimactic. So we've seen the shares trend down a little bit further from there.
Well, also we're seeing that there's the stocks may not be exactly what you think it is. There may be some risks that you didn't really think about. Talk a little bit about those risks.
Exactly, and this got, I think, lost in a lot of the hype. And the twist is that shares of Alibaba's stock may not be actual shares of Alibaba. And what I mean by that is, in the U.S., for instance, if you buy shares of stock in a company, you are literally buying an ownership interest. That's why we call it equity.
Right.
So if you have shares of Procter & Gamble, you own a piece of Procter & Gamble. Unfortunately for Alibaba, China has very strict rules about foreigners owning Chinese companies, so they couldn't sell equity directly to U.S. investors. So to sort of work around the regulations, they had to set up a shell company in the Cayman Islands, and then it's that shell company that U.S. investors are actually buying an interest in. Now, there is a contractual obligation in which the Chinese owners of Alibaba will share a portion of their profits with the shell company, which in turn will share those profits with U.S. investors. So it's a little bit convoluted, but to make it even more complicated is that Chinese courts have said that even this sophisticated workaround may not be entirely legal. And some U.S. observers have said that they're a little bit skeptical as well. So that's a pretty big gray area, and clearly we won't know how it plays out until further down the road. But I think the bottom line is, if you're going to invest in Alibaba, which certainly seems to have great growth potential, A, be aware of what it is that you're actually buying, and B, recognize that there are some unique risks involved that you don't find with the typical stock investment.
Wow. Well, I'm sure you'll keep us abreast of what all these when changes happen or what the results are.
Exactly.
Well, great. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Jamie.
Peg, back to you.
All right, great information. Thanks, Jamie and Mike. Still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, transforming a school and a community with donated technology. In this morning's Business Insight, empowering a neighborhood. Residents in most of Lower Price Hill will be able to get free wireless internet under a partnership between PowerNet, Cincinnati Public Schools, and the City of Cincinnati. Local telecommunications company PowerNet is installing internet access points in the neighborhood in partnership with Euler School and Community Learning Center.
We have facilities at Queens Tower, and we're able to reach this area very easily and saw it as the perfect opportunity to mesh our technical capabilities and our desire to give back to the community.
The idea for the free internet came after PowerNet began donating tablets to the school. Joining us this morning to talk more about the program are Adita Dolan-Mayo, who led the project for PowerNet, and John Putnam, Vice President for Sales for PowerNet. They joined Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio.
Thanks, Peg. Thanks for being here today. So we're going to talk, obviously about the Wi-Fi, but you started with the school and much before this. Talk about how it got started.
Certainly. Back in January, we won an award for community service from Smart Business Magazine. And at that award ceremony, we met Darlene Kamine with the Learning Center at Euler School, and that led to a meeting with them where we identified the need for some tablets. So we donated 50 tablets to help expand their computer capabilities. But even more importantly, we learned that 60 to 80% of their students didn't have high-speed internet access at home. So the learning kind of stopped when they left school. So based on that, we identified that need, and Adita pulled together a team of PowerNet employees, city council, community leaders.
Talk a little bit about that process. And probably not easy, right?
No, definitely not easy, but we had a wonderful team of folks to work with. Price Hill has a group of people that are definitely dedicated to their community and doing what they can to serve not only the students but those in the neighborhood. So not only working with Euler School and CPS, but also the Community Learning Center, PG Sittenfeld and his office, as well as Block Ministries. We all pulled together and looked at the goal to get Wi-Fi into the neighborhood. As John mentioned, once the students left the school, it was hard for them to finish things like their homework, their research papers, and so on. And after speaking with all those involved with this group, we said, well, how can we do this? And we found that we were able to work our resources amongst the team and find what we call our access points or hotspots that we were able to create through 5 different locations around Euler School. Within those 5 different locations, we were able to put internet access in those locations and then spread it amongst a 3 to 4 block radius within the school.
That's great. So not only in the school but outside in the community.
Yes.
And you think about that, and you think about some of the parents of these students that can benefit from it. Whether they're job hunting, whether they're just trying to find out how to better themselves. If you don't have that access, I think we take for granted how easy it is to do that. So you're helping not only those students, but the community itself.
Certainly, and they shared with us a story about a line around the corner and down the street at a local church that was offering high-speed internet and computers to the residents so that they could get online and do all those basic things that you and I take for granted. Yeah. And that was kind of the starting point for us recognizing the need. If they had those adults and students lining up down the street, street, we certainly saw that there was a need there for some high-speed internet.
Well, this is obviously a great example of companies or corporations giving back to the community. Why do you feel like we need to do that? Why is that important to us?
It's ingrained in our culture at PowerNet. It's something that we founded the company on in the early days with Bernie Stevens, and it's a part of our culture, and certainly part of the reason that many of our employees come to the company and stay with the company.
Yeah. Well, and obviously, you can write about companies, you can be on TV, you can do so many things, but when community finds out, what you're actually doing for them, I think it makes such a big difference. And Cincinnati, I've had so many guests on the show, and it always comes back to Cincinnati is one of the most giving, to give everything, whether it's money, whether it's time, whether it's resources. So we appreciate what you guys are doing to Price Hill. We appreciate everything that your company's done.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thanks so much, and hopefully we can keep these kind of things going and hear more about you in the future.
Absolutely.
All right, great. Thanks for being here today. Peg, back to you.
All right, thanks, Jamie and John and Adita. What a great neighborhood partnership. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and at 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, you can visit the Business Courier online, and you can sign up for daily emails and follow on Twitter and Facebook. The address is CincinnatiBusinessCourier.com. I'm Peg Rasconi. Have a great Sunday.